Okay, folks, happy Wednesday. See if we can get this going in the right place. There we go. Whew. Another day down. Well, once again, I'm going to need to do some cleanup here. There's way too much chaos all over here, so that'll give some people a chance to come on. And we'll go right back at what we're doing. The super readers should be around the corner. They are. Super readers because they have a lot more magnification. Green ochre. US field drive and Iraqi sand we're going to need in mere moments. Somebody's somewhere they're not supposed to be. Because there should be space for red for sure. Okay. All right. 3 silent folks. Good evening, guys. Gentlemen. I could say ladies, but if my stats are correct, I don't have a single lady that's ever come across this channel. Okay. I was back in the days before rants. I go on to. Seems like anytime you give anybody a voice, all of a sudden everybody's got like, you got to listen to what I have to say. I said, no, I don't. Hey, Angel, how are you? But way back when, I'd wake up in the morning, I'd check my email. I don't use my personal email for anything. Anything. Why? It's too cumbersome, and there's way too much advertising. I don't even have that much spam and stuff on there. It's just, there's a bunch of stuff on there I don't want. So I basically don't use personal email. I'll use Facebook Messenger. I think Facebook Messenger is really good for that. But anyways, I used to turn on the computer in the morning, check my email, then go on the miniatures page and see what was new in the land of miniatures. But that was back when the miniatures page is a lot better than a bulletin board. I don't really like the bulletin boards. I think we've done enough damage on this thing. I think it's time to retire this. And bulletin boards just aren't very useful. But you go on the miniatures page and one of the rants somebody went on. You know, the problem is that some people are just in need of a crusade. And I'm not on a crusade and I'm not interested in partaking in one. And yeah, these guys were like, we need to get more women in our hobby. I'm like, okay, how are you going to do that? It's not exactly something that the ladies are really interested in. You know, I'm all for it. I mean, I can't even get my lady to watch a historical movie of any kind. So, that's just not in their persona normally. Wish it was, but it isn't. How am I? I'm doing great now. I got to go to the doctor tomorrow just for the checkup. So I'll be going into work late. So I'm sure it'll be, smoldering when I get there. consumed by the fires that others don't know how to put out. What's you go to want movie? Okay, I need a heart bump. I don't know what you're saying. What's you go to? Let's make sure that all chat's out here first of all. Or my live chat. There we go. What's you go to war movie? What's my go to war movie? I don't know that I have one. I can't do this and watch a movie. So, the best movies I've seen recently, in the last 10 years, is probably, I think they're all available to watch right now. One of them was recommended by Nordic. I think he recommended it, and it's called The Forgotten Battle. And that one's pretty good. That's a pretty good movie. And Generation War is not really a movie. It's 3. It's pretty decent. And what's the third one? Oh, one Mitch recommended called 1944. I remember liking that one pretty good. Well, obviously, I'm talking about the last 10 years. So, I'm really harsh critic on them, though. I'm like, oh, they got the wrong machine gun, or they wouldn't do that, or they, you sometimes just know too much about a subject to sometimes even enjoy it. Okay, so these guys are sealed. This is sealed. This is sealed. Gosh, I don't remember if these additional parts are sealed. I want to say they're not. So I'm going to set them off this side. We'll have to spray them. This turret is. Let's go ahead and put the grass on these guys. And after we glue this armored car down, that's what we're going to do. Anything that involves having to wait for it to do its thing, we need to prioritize when it happens. So we're not just waiting around on it. Well, we got other things to paint on this thing. We got to weather it. And all right, well, we got to put field drab on here. I can tell you a lot of war movies I didn't like, which is most of them. The problem with some of the war movies I don't like is I saw them a while ago. So I may actually like them more if I watched them now, but there's nothing worse than really disliking a movie and then everybody likes it. And that would be my least favorite, most popular war movie. If you take a movie like Thin Red Line, people are really split on it. They either really like it, or like most of us normal people, just really disliked it. And, the problem with a war movie is, why are you watching a war movie? I want to see equipment in action. I want to see, these vehicles moving around, what they sound like, and doing their thing. That's what I want to do that. So if I get put in a movie that has none of those things, I don't think it's a good war movie. Okay? So it's not what I go to the movie for. And most of the people that I would say that enjoy war movies as well do it for the same reason I want to do it. And I wish they made more movies that didn't have people you knew in them. I'm kind of like the opposite of a movie like A Bridge Too Far. A Bridge Too Far has too many famous people in it. It distracts from it. It has so many famous people and they're in it so little because, it's such a huge undertaking. So I'm actually not a fan of that. I would prefer they would make things with people you don't know. So, yeah, the old Iraqi sand. But then there's the kind of movies where I don't like them and just about everybody does like them. And that would be Kelly's Heroes. And it's mainly because of the freaking the vibe that movie has more than anything else. I actually like all the actors that are in it. I just don't really like that. And it's funny because almost everybody would disagree with me. People that watch like war movies, I would be like in the 10th percentile. And Mitch is actually one of them. He doesn't like it either. For the same reason. And we didn't watch it together, you know. Have you ever heard the channel on here, YouTube, called American Veterans Center? I have not. I have not. But, I'm kind of critical of, not critical, but I'm kind of biased as far as, YouTube programming. There's some people that do a great job, but they just don't engage me. I don't like their delivery. It's just a little too wooden. I prefer something a little bit more dynamic. But I don't get much chance to really watch stuff on YouTube because any chance I get to watch something, I'd rather just be doing this. Because I have something to show for it afterwards. Okay, so that'll be able to dry now. Now we do need to weather this joker. Some of them older gentlemen on there tell some crazy ass stories while they were in the war. Back in the early 90s when I used to work at a hobby store, we had a fair number of World War II vets that would come in. And the stuff they talked about, or whether they even wanted to talk about, varied tremendously. There's one guy that came in several times. I remember he drove like a Cadillac or something like that, and he had these little rods that came out from the Cadillac. I guess it's supposed to tell you if you're too close to the curb or something. Anyways, this guy came in there, and he was on a bomber. I don't remember if he was on a B-17 or a B-24. He was on one of the two bombers. I don't remember what his position was. He might have been the pilot. He might have been the navigator or something like that. And he had no problem talking about the stories. And there's other people that, fought in the Pacific about the Japanese. They don't have anything nice to say about anything Japanese. So just their experiences really shaped who they were, and it makes sense that they would, vastly different. Some people didn't want to talk about it at all, and and some people were, didn't have a problem with the enemy. It just depends on what the situation was. So But that was a while ago, and I guess one of these days we're going to get around to hearing the last World War II guys passed on. Before too much longer. But even though those histories are important, sometimes they're really inaccurate because you're talking to someone who sees like maybe a very tiny wedge of their experience. So they don't really know what's going on. In same ways, you could read some book that tells you about what's going on, but then there's no personal experiences. So it just seems really wooden. So, it's good to have a variety of both things. I'm not really interested in much of the strategic kind of stuff. Like I would never pick up and read a book that Eisenhower wrote. It's just going to be or somebody on that level. It's just going to be too zoomed out where I'm not going to be able to create any scenarios with that information. I mean, that's what I'm there for, is to create the scenarios and for tactical stuff. You're not going to get that from something that's along that level. I mean, as much as I like World War II stuff, I would never read, something along that level, or I'm not interested in political stuff, so I'm not interested in like Rise and Decline of the Third Reich or Mein Kampf. I'm not reading that stuff. That's just, stuff that just doesn't interest me at all. And likewise, now I've gotten to the point where, I don't want to read self-serving German memoirs of stuff. I don't want to read anything by Heinz Guderian. I'm not, he's just self-serving people, I don't have a problem that he wrote it and he happens to be German. I have a problem with him embellishing shit, and then I'm basically learning make-believe, I just don't have time for that. So, I was reading the memoirs of this one guy. His last name is Rouse, and I think he's Austrian. Anyways, he was a tank commander in the Panzerwaffe, and reading his memoirs are a chore, just a big chore, because it's like, the undertones basically, he's God's gift to everything. If some debacle would have happened on his watch, it wouldn't happen. It's like, okay, the first couple of them that turn out that way, you're like, all right, maybe this guy is that good. But it's like, all of a sudden, he's got like this complex of like, they should have put me in, I don't want to read stuff like that. It's just make-believe. If he was that much of a badass, okay, well, I'll read about it then, but it just seems awful suspect. Whew. Here we go. And so it begins. And so it begins. think this is actually going to look like a pretty cool vehicle. Definitely useful for the kind of scale stuff that I do. All right, folks. You guys need to wake me up. I'm already drinking coffee, or I'm going to have to shut down. What is this looking like? Yeah, looking pretty good. It looks different than the other vehicles because, you know, the other vehicles are in Russian green, not this American olive drab. But I did it that way on purpose. I'm getting to the point where I'm basically immune to coffee. It's just not doing its intended purpose anymore. You had anybody that was in a service on him? Dad, granddad? The Hoffman. In the middle of trying to recover an old cutting mat someone gave me. It's not quite. I think I found a way to do a heart bump. Yeah. It's not quite a few. It's got quite a few bends in it. Hopefully, I can get it flat again. Yeah. I've come close to ordering a little one to cut on, but I don't want to look at that stuff. I'm fine cutting on my cardboard and painting on it. And, you know, I don't need to change how I do things. I got a unique way of doing things. We're going to keep it that way. Somebody gave you a cutting mat. They didn't want it anymore. Huh? Was it like a weird color or something like that? They make them in pink and purple and shit like that. Just about every color under the rainbow. Just about every color under the rainbow. These are way too nice and expensive to cut on. I wish it had all this metric measurement on here instead of like in inches, but the color's right and it's reversible. So, 1 foot by 1 foot mat. That's a good size. I think it would come in handy, else you wouldn't try and fix it. They're really inexpensive, so don't kill yourself. You can get one for almost like $5 of that size. Yeah, metric is just so much better. You know what they should have done is like, okay, well, they're gonna say, okay, well, the United States is never gonna go metric. That's fine. Make it decimal feet. That's it. That's the problem. The problem isn't the inch. The problem isn't that it's an inch. The problem isn't the foot. It just needs to be subdivided in tenths. You know, subdividing things in 12ths and then 12th that, and that's 12 again is just like, you know, silly. It's just like silly. Yeah, probably could paint this thing too. You know what I noticed I didn't have? I didn't have the machine guns painted on this thing. We got to do that as well. Well, we'll see if I can stay awake. Sometimes it's just difficult. I've been awake for a long time, and it's just, I figure I want to make a coffee to kind of stay awake, but even that doesn't necessarily do the intended jobs frequently. Ooh, shit. But the one I had at the old place, remember that blue one I had? It was like this color blue. It's pretty close to this color blue. That one was given to me. I didn't buy it. I spent 30 something bucks and then cutting on it and stuff. Well, I didn't even cut on it. I was like really careful with something that I didn't spend any money on. It's like, you know what? You want to take care of things that you have. We need some black stuff on here. You have two cousins in the Marines on my mother's side. On my dad's side, the family in Mexico. Okay. What part of Mexico? I've never been to the frontier part of Mexico, ever. Last time I went, we rented a house in Manzanillo, and it went really well. It's a couple of years ago. Well, like 2 years ago, something like that. Okay, here's the pickaxe. Cousins, that's something I don't know anything about. I don't have any. Don't have any. You're in Texas, but never made a trip down there. It's pretty dangerous on the border areas, yeah. And Dusty's, too. But wouldn't mind going to Mexico City to try some street tacos. Well, that's a good place to get sick. I don't know. I didn't want to fly. When I went to Mexico, did not want to fly to Mexico City because it's surrounded by mountains and the turbulence and all that kind of shit. I had a bad experience when I was a kid flying into Mexico City. And, yeah, that's... Me don't likey. Oh, good. Here we go. Sinapecuaro. Sinapecuaro. Michoacan. That's like the... Alright, I gotta look up what that is. Map time. Sinapecuaro. Oh, it has an accent. Sinapecuaro. Sinapecuaro. Okay. Let's see where this is. Okay, it's near Morelia. I've been there as a kid. I just don't remember. Okay. That's on the way to Manzanillo from Mexico City. Cool. I actually do a pretty good job pronouncing the native names. I don't think they're that difficult, but it's not like they're Welsh. God help you. That makes no sense. Sinapecuaro. Northwest of Mexico City. Yeah, more like west northwest. Last time I was in Mexico City, they hadn't excavated all the Templo Mayor stuff. That's got to be pretty cool. So one thing I'm not really fond of my ancestors. I'm fine with them putting the Aztecs out of their misery, but why bury all this stuff? You know, I don't get that. You know, I wouldn't have destroyed any of their stuff. I'd have been like, see, these are the evil bastards that we got rid of or whatever. Even though you're also doing evil bastard shit, but you know, I'm not a fan of destroying historical artifacts like ISIS does and shit like that. You know, So yeah, a whole Temple Mayor. That's got to be pretty cool. Pretty interesting. Yeah, last time I was in Mexico City, that hadn't been. I saw a picture of it recently. I'm like, holy crap, that's like right in the middle of the, you know, right in the middle of the city, right in the middle of, oh shit, what's it called? Anyways, the big plaza. I just don't want to fly in there because it's just turbulent city. The CCP, when they came to power, destroyed a lot of historical artifacts in China. Assholes. And they're communists. You know, I don't like the modern Chinese, but there's a lot of Chinese stuff that's excruciatingly interesting. Excruciatingly interesting. I hope I'm alive that when they open up that first emperor's tomb. I mean, that's either going to be incredible what's in there, or like, you know, when they open the Ark on the on the on Raiders of the Lost Ark, it's going to be one of those two things. It's going to be incredible, or been like, what the what? You know. The I noticed, Hoffman, that my buddy Greg finished it. He did a Australian Greg, as I call him. He did a Three Kingdoms Chinese army that he finished, and he said he got a flag thing from you on Fanaticus, or flag inspiration, and I hadn't gotten a chance. I don't really post on Fanaticus anymore. I was there like multiple times a day back in the day. Now I've gotten out of the habit of going there every day. Maybe I'm there every fourth day. I just kind of look and see, oh, now there's all kinds of discussion points we didn't used to discuss. You know, political kind of things on there, which I'm not interested in getting in on that kind of stuff. But I noticed that he painted that army with he painted a Wu army in red, and I'm like, just like Dynasty Warriors, huh? Of the three, it's the one I would the least likely do. It's probably the one I would least likely do. If I had to build a Three Kingdoms Chinese army, I'd probably do them blue, just like like Wei. So, or Shuhan, you know. Those are your flags. Yeah, that's the problem with the Chinese is their stuff is really interesting and they really suck when it comes to flags. It's like, hey, we got this really cool army, this rich history. We might have to get some flags. What should we put on there? Well, just put the first letter of my name. Like, you don't want to put like a cool dragon or something like that. Yes, he did post his army on Fanaticus. Yeah, and on Facebook. He's pretty active on Facebook. I've known him a long time. He actually came to the States twice and gamed with him. Really nice fellow. The first time he came in 2009 to Historicon, he's traveling to the States with an Australian buddy of his. And, you know, while they were there, I mean, it's a long trip, he decided to go to a bunch of different places and, you know, sightseeing. And he went to New York. And his buddy had an army. He had like a little carrying case, and somebody swiped his army. It's like, well, you know, don't judge the United States by assholes in New York City, you know. New York City is not the United States. And it's certainly not Texas. Yeah, Gregorius. Yep. Yeah, he's super cool. I usually video chat with him every other month or something like that. The problem is this is, you know, if I call him now, now's probably be all right, because he's, you know, getting up and doing stuff. But he's like the most busy retired person ever, and he's pretty young for being retired. I think he's in his early 60s. He's not like, you know, like I'm gonna have to be when I retire. Unfortunately, late 60s if I'm lucky. Let me go get a soda. Be right back. I got that Romance to the Three Kingdoms Total War. I tried playing that. Oh my god, it's so complicated. There's just so much to do. I'm like, I just don't have it in me to play video games like I used to. You know, after about an hour, I'm like done. You know. I'm done after about an hour. And there's a really fine line on video games where they're either too difficult or they're just not challenging enough. You know, and if they're not challenging enough, it just puts you to sleep. And if they're too difficult, I'm like, I already have loads of problems at work. I don't need more of them. How many fires do you want me to put out on a daily basis? Yeah, he's really a very nice, good-natured fellow. And let's get some white out here as well. Still trying to find this painted Three Kingdoms army. All right, let's see if I can find it here. I mean, he posted it on Facebook, but he linked it to let's see. Greg. He had it on the DBA and Hot page, I think. DBA and Hot Wargaming. Here's his crossbowman. He did use my flags. Yep. Yeah, I knew exactly it was you when it's like, not many people want to go by a Hofsmama. Hoffman's summer. Hoffman, you bring shame on your family. Yeah. Woo. That's the last one I would have done. I don't even enjoy playing them in you played that, right? You played the Romance of the Three Kingdoms, Dynasty Warriors games. I'm pretty sure we've talked about that. I remember in the early 90s, I had a buddy of mine that I used to play war games with. It's like, oh, I got this strategy game on Nintendo. I'm like, I've never been a Nintendo fan, you know? And I'm like, okay. So I played it, and it's like this very basic counter game with counters. And it was Romance of the Three Kingdoms. I don't know, 2, 3, something like that. It was on the old Nintendo, the original ass Nintendo. And I played it. I didn't know anything about these characters. I didn't know Sao or none of them guys, you know. I didn't even know about Chinese pronunciation. I'm like, why isn't it cow cow? Why is it, you know? Anyhow. And then I think when I got the first Xbox, I ended up renting one of the Dynasty Warriors games, 2 or 3, one of those two, and you know, and the rest is history, you know. Yeah, Wu wasn't was or wasn't. Damn heart. Let's see. Let's change it to top chat. I think it'll bump it. Yeah. Wu was your favorite as a kid. No, I like it all equally. I started with who was it that I played with? Zaho Yun with from Shuhan. Um, all right. Since we're talking about that, uh, Dynasty Warriors characters. My favorite character of all time, and I haven't played a whole lot of them, is the guy that looks like the freaking dragon. He looks bad. Well, Lubu is awesome. Okay, Lubu is freaking awesome. Even though he's working for whatchamacallit, he ends up killing him. But whatever. He was a dick, the fat guy. Um, Dong Zhuo. Yeah, Dong Zhuo gets his. Dong Zhuo sucks. Who is the Ma dude? The dragon guy. He looks freaking badass. I think it's Ma Chao. Yeah, Ma Chao looks freaking awesome. I don't know. I'm trying to think which Wu characters I even liked. I think there's one that's got like a freaking stick or something like that. I haven't played Dynasty Warriors 9, but they just keep rehashing the same thing over and over again. I wanted to play with a one that was like you could create a character and travel across China, but I never did get a chance to play that one. Zhou I like Zhou. And I also like Tai Shi Chi. I like those two guys. That's it. Didn't care for any of the other guys. Working on a single player tabletop game inspired by a siege in the Three Kingdoms. Yeah, Ma Chao. Ma Chao's freaking awesome. Awesome looking, you know. But the first one I played was Zaho Yun. The one that saves the baby. He ends up saving. God, I haven't looked at these names so long. I can't remember what it is. The main guy's baby. I'll come across him here. Liu Bei's. Liu Bei's baby. Yeah. Yeah, the long-haired pretty boy, Zhao Yun. Ever see Dynasty Warriors 9 on sale? It's open world. It's pretty fun just to run around. Is it 9 it's that way? And the guy for Way that has the eye patch is pretty cool. I like him. Who's the girl that plays the flute? She's cute. She's the Way girl that plays the flute. Of course, I've played Dynasty Warriors 3, 4, and 5. I don't think I've played any of the other ones. That's about as far. Those are all very similar to each other. Um, yeah, the Chinese history is really cool. I don't like the Chinese now, but I love my Asian armies. Five is where the series peaked for me. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I have five for. I tried playing the Empires one, but it just I don't know. I wish there was more stuff to find, as your character. The music's great. I freaking love the freaking music. You got some guy on YouTube that did like a whole playlist of all the music, and I think I downloaded it or whatever, and I had it on a really old iPod that I got from somebody else, and there's some rockin' tunes, man. And played a fair amount of Samurai Warriors too. It's just something to do. Well, I don't know why it kind of fascinated me and I liked it because I don't really like those fighting games. I guess I just kind of took a liking to. You played it enough that you remember who certain characters are. At first, you're like, man, all these characters sound the same. Not if you get bombarded with them after a while. After a while, yeah. The thing about Asian armies is people always use the excuse, "Well, I don't build them. Why? 'Cause I don't know anything about them." Like, so there's your opportunity to learn about them. That's like seeing a car and going, "Man, I wish I could drive that." I said, "Well, why don't you try?" Well, because I've never done it before. Okay, have fun sitting in the closet. You know, it's your opportunity to learn about Asian armies. Now, the only thing that sucks about Asian armies, like I said, is their flags are lame. They have so many rich flags they could have, and they don't have them. The only Asian armies I'm not a fan of is, you know, the damn Mongols. Hate those guys. 'Cause they go and destroy shit. The thing I hate about Asian armies, there's not a lot of translated English sources to read. Good point. Yeah, and I can't read those characters, the pictographs, whatever they are. The Skylab. Yeah, that whole excuse. Well, I don't know anything about them. I can't build them. Here's your opportunity, man. Do you need any? Do you need more reasons than that? Yeah, I'm not into this. I don't know anything about it. Well, how are you ever going to know anything about it if you're not motivated by being able to play the game or something like that? I know a lot of people probably just go and check on your cutting mat. Got something heavy sitting on it, huh? A lot of folks probably just play some of those things just so they could win. I don't know. It's good to be competitive. Don't get me wrong, but it's not the end all of everything. It's not the end all. So this is going to be. We're going to seal this thing, but we're going to see if we can mark this where the tires go, and then scoop out some of the stuff. Even though we're not going to mount it, we have to seal this thing first because we're going to be putting our hands on it and stuff, and we don't want to have to undo a bunch of stuff that's already been done. Yeah, if somebody gave me a cutting mat that was already damaged, I don't have a problem using it. But a new one, even if I didn't pay for it, I just feel bad. I feel bad, trashing something. Have I done Lend-Lease tanks for the Russians? I have not. I probably am not going to do any. The only Lend-Lease vehicles I would do, well, okay, this is Lend-Lease. That's okay. It's other than Studebaker trucks, but I don't see any point in doing a Matilda or a Valentine or a Lee or Stewart's or anything like that. Sherman's, certainly not Sherman's. Hot iron and wet towel method of flattening a cutting mat works. But no, I've not done any Lend-Lease vehicles for the Soviets. If I had, there's no point in doing Matildas for the Soviets when I don't even have them for the British. Hot iron and wet towel. That sounds like the new form of waterboarding. Hold on, let me get a hold of this guy. We got a wet towel and hot iron. Okay. We have this little post that was in here. bloody bastard broke off. I'm going to put that inside because we're going to have to epoxy that at some point. This is ready to be sealed. It's straightened. It straightens you out. Yep. Yeah, we got this little armored car that I'm going to build an objective with this thing, but we're going to have this stuck like into the dune. We'll put this on like a stand and everything. It's going to be one of those like objective kind of thing, you know? So. Oh, live chat's where it needs to be. Sorry. Okay. Well, I'm going to actually call it a night. I am like falling asleep, unfortunately. I do much, much better in the mornings. I'd rather work on, 6 hours of sleep instead of like 6 hours of sleep. Oh, and all the day at work. So, but hey, at least I got on here is better than not going on there. You guys didn't complain about the frames being dropped, so that's good. But we'll try to be on here again tomorrow and Friday and be on here any chance I get. I don't like to paint and not be on here. It's just, I get bored. So, okay, folks.